morning, GPA students. It's Mr. Sargent here with your Day 48 recap video for ELA and for Science. Now, in ELA today, we focused on some science topics dealing with energy. We watched a video on how to conserve and save energy. And then we have our Family Fun Friday science experiments in which we're dealing with some solutions, we're dealing with some mixtures, we're dealing with some chemical reactions, we're seeing some things work, and hopefully we don't get interrupted by anyone today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and begin. In ELA today, we talked about energy. We've talked about energy before in science. Remember, energy cannot be created nor it can be destroyed, but we use energy to do a lot of things. And you think about your own house, all the things that you use for energy. We use electricity in our house to run pretty much everything, from our refrigerators to our TVs to our PlayStations and Xboxes and computers and Chromebooks. Now, the one thing that we don't want to do is waste that energy. So the book that we're going to read today is called Save Energy Every Day. Now it's going to teach us some ways to save some energy. So let's go ahead and read it now. So let's read Save Energy Every Day by Tammy Gagne. And there's our table of contents. What is energy? We use energy every day. It gives us heat, it powers our cars, it turns on our TVs, lights, and computers. Energy comes from many places. It can come from sunlight, water, and wind. Using energy. Most energy comes from coal, oil, and natural gas. Earth takes millions of years to make them. We might use them up before more is made. They will last longer if we save energy. And then we have the let's do it. Put in new compact fluorescent light bulbs. They use less power and they last 25 times longer than old ones. How we get energy. A power plant makes coal into energy. The coal is burned. It heats water. This makes steam. Steam turns a generator to make energy. Then the energy goes to power lines that reach our homes. And you can see the picture of how a power plant works. And they get to use heat transfer as well as evaporation to make energy. That's pretty cool. Turn off machines. You can help save energy. Machines use a lot of it. Watch less TV, read a book, or ask a friend to play. What is a game you can play? And then we have the let's do it part. When you turn off a video game, it still uses power. All the little lights take power. So unplug it. Good advice. Sun power. Use power from the sun. Open a window shade on sunny days. The sun will light your room. It can help heat your home too. Let warm sunlight in. The heater will use less power. Wind power. Wind turbines use wind to make power. They are very tall. They catch more wind up high. Wind turns the long blades. They spin a generator to make power. Well, that's interesting. They use the wind to actually create power. That's a good process. Save energy at home. You can use wind power at home. Use the wind to dry your clothes. Hang them on a clothesline. And now we get the let's do it. See if your window has a leak. Hold your hand where it closes. Tell a parent if you feel air. Then you can help fix it. Save energy at school. We can save energy at school. Have a contest. See which class can come up with the most ideas to save power. Now we'll get the let's do it. Turn off the lights if your class leaves a room. Power down computers at the end of the day. This is a great strategy, ladies and gentlemen. It's one thing that I try to do in our school and our classroom every single day. Save gas. Do you ride to school? Set up a carpool. Parents can take turns driving. Then only one car has to drive. Walk or ride your bike. It will save gas. These are just some ways to save energy. What are your ideas? And then we have some of the words to know and get started today. And if we take a look at the get started today, turn off lights when you leave a room, open a window, shade for light, layer up on chilly days, cut down on TV time, walk or ride your bike to save gas, and plan a lights out night. And these are all great strategies to save energy. And after we were done reading, we watched a video from Duke Energy called Space Station Conservation, which focused on different ways that we could save energy. Then we went on to science. So we're here today in Sargent's Superstar second grade lab to test a couple things dealing with chemical reactions, dealing with what is a mixture, what is a solution. All right, so what we're going to be doing first is testing different solutions. Now, for this activity, we're going to be looking at the process of dissolving. Now, as we know, dissolving means when you put it and mix it with something else. When we're talking about what is a mixture, we're talking about putting a couple materials together, a couple ingredients together, but still being able to pull them back out and they maintain their original form, such as a salad or a pizza. When you put it all on a pizza, it's a pizza, but when you take it apart, you got the pepperoni, you can still take the cheese, you can still take the green pepper, you can definitely take the pineapple. I'm okay with that. You can go ahead and just take it all the pineapple. So when we're talking about a mixture, it's grouping together and mixing it up, but still being able to separate it. But when we're talking about a solution here, when you mix things in together, you can't separate them after. So our first experiment is going to be talking about and showing how when you add a few ingredients together, sometimes it's a lot harder to separate them after. So the ingredients that you're going to be needing today are a plate, some warm water, and some Skittles. So let's go ahead and get started.
It is I, formerly Professor Doubt, now Dr. Doubt, back to ruin your experiment and let you know you can never do this.
Well, you know what? We're not going to listen to Dr. Doubt today, or Professor Doubt, or whatever he calls himself now. What we're going to do is follow our steps, follow our directions, and follow our plans. So, we have our supplies handy, so we need to go through the scientific process. Now, step one, we got to create a question. Can we show a solution using Skittles and water? Well, I think we can. That's my hypothesis. I think we can show a solution. We can create a solution using the materials that we have. All right? Now, something else we need to look for is the word dissolve. We need to show how one thing dissolves into another in order to make that solution. So when you see it, make sure you shout it out. All right? So let's go ahead and get started with our steps. So step one, we need to open up our bag of Skittles.
This experiment is too hard for you. You're not going to be able to do this. It's not going to work.
You know what? We're not going to listen to him. Right now, if we can't open our bag, we use the next best thing and we find a solution. Well, we use our pair of scissors of science here and we just cut open the top. So, we may struggle at certain parts of the experiment, but if we stay diligent and if we stay positive, we should be able to solve any problem that comes up. So now that I have my Skittles opened, I'm going to arrange them on the plate like so. Now, if you notice here, I am putting them in a circle. Does it have to be a circle? Well, for this activity, yeah, it kind of has to be a circle. We're gonna put them around the plate, and well, we're not gonna put any in the center just yet. So let's go ahead and just see how this looks after we're all done. Now, is it okay to snack on some of our materials of science during the experiment? Yeah, this is one of those experiments that feel free to have one or two. You don't want to eat them all just in case you want to do this experiment again, or if the experiment doesn't work the first time. So our next step is going to be adding the water. Now, you may need your parents to help you with this part if the water is extremely warm.
You don't need, well, even I agree here. You need parent supervision for this. I have to agree with that.
But for the most part, all we're going to need to do is gently pour the water into the center of the plate. Now, we're not going to just dump the water in. We are going to gently place it in. So what you're seeing right now is we are adding the hot water to these Skittles. And if you notice, there's almost an instantaneous change. The dye that is on the shell of the Skittles, well, they're dissolving. There's our word. They're dissolving in the water. And if you look, the food coloring and the dye from those candies are running into the center of the plate, and it's creating a really cool solution. Now, this solution is multicolored as well as probably very tasty. I'm not going to go ahead and taste it, but if you notice, even the candy shells are disappearing from our Skittles. Can we ever put that flavor back on the Skittle? No, this is why it's a solution, isn't it? So our results from this were pretty cool. Some things we could probably change. I would probably take out the purple ones or only put a few purples in and keep more of the bright colors. Now, another question I have for you is, what if we use different candies? Do you think that we'd have the same result? Well, it's worth a try. So our conclusion is, well, our hypothesis was correct. We could do this. We did do this, no matter what some people said. Now, that's right. I believe in you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very proud of the work you did today. So let's go on to experiment number 2. Now, our second experiment for Family Fun Friday is very simple. When I was young, I used to love to pass notes. Now, don't tell my teachers, don't tell my parents. I used to love to pass notes. But sometimes the notes used to get found. So I wonder if we could create an invisible ink, a secret message way to pass notes and to pass messages to our friends. So that's pretty much my question. Using a few supplies, can I create a way to communicate with my friends and my family members without getting caught? So the materials I'm going to be using today, pretty simple. I'm going to be using a lemon. I'm going to be using a Q-tip. I'm going to be using a piece of paper, just a normal piece of paper, and I'm going to be using an iron. All right? So my hypothesis is I will be able to use these materials to create a secret message by using, well, a chemical reaction. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be adding heat to our message. So let's go ahead and see how that's going to look. So our next step is do the experiment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after some time and effort, this is all we got. You can kind of see some of the letters, but this experiment didn't work.
Ha ha ha, I was right. It didn't work. I am victorious. Ha 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 ha.
You know what, Dr. Doubt? We might not have gotten it to work today, but are we going to give up? No. We're going to do some research. We're going to find different methods to create that invisible ink and different ways to figure this out. Part of science and part of experimenting is realizing that sometimes our experiments don't work. And is it important to understand that sometimes experiments don't work? Yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen. Not everything works out the first time. So we may come back to this and try it again one day. So I'm going to leave today with one more family fun Friday activity. Well, we've talked about mixtures before and changes in matter. Well, here is our next and final experiment, and this one's going to be an easy one. All you'll need is a piece of paper and a drawing of Dr. Doubt. Now, when we're changing this solid, we can change it in a number of ways. We can crumple it up, we can do a number of things, and the great thing about this, it will return back to its original form, which is pretty much the definition of a mixture. So what we're going to do, and my hypothesis is that if I totally destroy this picture, which it looks pretty destroyed anyways, but if I destroy this picture, I'll be able to put it back together. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your picture of Dr. Doubt, you're gonna take some scissors, and you're just going to cut. My 8 pieces of paper. Ha 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 ha. Take that, Dr. Doubt. Now, here's what you do. And this one's, like I said, pretty easy, but it's a fun little activity. Let's see if we can put the picture of Dr. Doubt back together again.
You'll never be able to put that back together.
Now, if you're saying, well, it's just a puzzle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think a mixture is? All a mixture is a puzzle. It's a series of pieces put together to make one thing. So let's go and let's see if we can rebuild Dr. Doubt.
You beat Dr. Doubt this time, but I'll be back.
Now, is it exactly like it was before? Well, no, it's cut into a couple pieces. But when we put it together, we're going to still have that original piece. Is it still paper? Yes. Is it still Dr. Doubt? Unfortunately, it's still Dr. Doubt. So this is a fun activity that you can either cut your paper into 8ths, 4ths, depending on who you're working with. You can even cut it into more pieces and try to put together. It's a fun activity. It's a fun experiment, even though it doesn't seem like science. It actually is. Hopefully you get it to work and you don't let Dr. Doubt try to influence your project. Now that's it for day number 48. Hopefully you had some fun today. Always remember that whenever you start to doubt yourself, just know that you can do it. We may have to change a few things, we may have to adjust, we may have to adapt, but never let that Dr. Doubt get in your head. All right? I hope you all have a great restful weekend. You earned it this week, ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot wait to see you on Monday.